So when I was a wee little engineer, I did a TED Talk at Johnson & Johnson. And this is where I got this t-shirt that I couldn't fit into because it was an extra large, but it was cut a little bit too small. And I found it 8 years later, right as I'm preparing for a storytelling workshop. And I wanted to share about my experience doing a TED Talk in front of 1,600 people at Johnson & Johnson in Asbury Park, which is the same theater, stadium stage that Bruce Springsteen got his start. It's like, give me some grace, it's almost 6 in the morning. I'm mid-third shift at Amazon. So I had the opportunity to prepare for a TED Talk for this learning and development event where they brought a lot of leadership and employees from Johnson & Johnson to Asbury Park for this huge event. I think there was between 8 and 12 speakers. They brought in Broadway actors and actresses to teach us on storytelling, stage presence, like the empathy behind the message and answering questions before they're asked around the story you tell. So for me and my talk, because I've worked in surgical robotics and harmonic technology, so you have like an ultrasonic titanium blade that vibrates and cuts tissue, it's epic. I started by playing my dad's electric guitar to Coldplay, The Scientist. I just did a little hook from that, and then I talked about singing that song to my son. And that was kind of my initial hook and intro, was like bringing people into this moment I shared with my son and how powerful music can be. But the talk wound through the idea that as you dabble, it was called the art of the dabble. As you dabble and explore different problem spaces, it actually increases your ability to solve more challenging problems downstream. So when I first tried to learn music, I failed at drums, I failed at acoustic guitar with my dad, and then he noticed that I played Guitar Hero and I slapped it like a bass. So we tried bass, that worked, then I learned how to sing, then I learned how to play acoustic guitar, then I learned how to play drums for church, and then I learned how to play electric guitar for my first TED Talk. And that was kind of like the initial hook of like, I had this curve that just showed time to competency, and it just kept decreasing as I picked up different instruments. And it's the same as I've moved across different technologies at Johnson & Johnson. And I connected the vibration of a guitar string at resonance with the vibration of a titanium blade at resonance and harmonic. And I talked about dabbling into robotic spaces and then taking risk and following like side paths for, I got into this whole like IP space where I innovated something I wasn't supposed to innovate because it was an off primary path, but I ended up being a finalist in the Johnson & Johnson Warren Engineering Awards, which is like the highest engineering award you can get at J&J, because we covered, I think we mitigated like $23 billion worth of future revenue based on some strategic innovation that came from me pursuing a side quest as an engineer, which is pretty cool. But yeah, the talk changed my life in many ways. This is actually what led me into content creation when COVID hit. Like, I took a lot of the learnings from this TED Talk, started doing content consistently, did 2,000 plus short form videos, over 20 million views, 40,000 followers. So I'm really good at storytelling and little hooks. I've been doing a lot more on LinkedIn to bring people into proximity with surgical robotics and stories around my career, which has been kind of fun. And I'm doing a workshop, so let me show you some cool stuff. So that's the TED Talk. So if you like stories, you might like to geek out on some of my other content. This is me going through Zimmer Biomed and talking about robotics. There's some cool footage. I like to do like the whiteboard and chat. It's kind of my style. But if we go to this is the storytelling workshop I'm doing next week. We're limiting it to 100 people, and it's going to be really awesome. This is Danny. She's an international bestseller author. So she's been on multiple podcasts. She's an author talking about like writing stories, whereas I have all of the experience with content creation and digital storytelling. So we're going to tag team together, and our moderator is someone named Navreet, who's actually just put out her first book. It's a book of poetry. So it should be a lot of fun. Members of my school community will be there. If you're interested, sorry for the train in the background, just click on events, and then it's right there, the storytelling. So go ahead and check it out, and looking forward to catching up with you. But I believe everybody's got a story to tell. Mine's really complicated. Between a decade at Johnson & Johnson, this crazy jump to continue life in Japan after 12 relocations to get there, failing at entrepreneurship, hitting zero in a foreign country, crash landing into Chicago to live in a 4th-generation home with our in-laws, working third shift at Amazon while continuing entrepreneurship in parallel, while also attracting director-level roles in MedTech. Like, learning how to find your authentic voice and communicating in the public square, there's a lot of artistry in it, and I'd love to save you some time. So anyway, if you have a bit of time to invest in yourself, I'm hoping that the skills you'll gain and the perspectives you'll gain will take you even farther, because the world needs to hear what you have to share. All right, keep changing the world. I'm gonna get back to work, and I'll see you on the next one.